Most people live trapped in a deep illusion, so ingrained in our culture that we rarely question it. This illusion has kept entire generations chained to a life of effort without corresponding reward. The illusion is simple but devastating, the belief that the path to wealth is through hard, incessant, and exhausting work. Think for a moment. How many times have you heard phrases like work hard and you will be rewarded? There is no such thing as a free lunch or success comes before work only in the dictionary. These maxims are so intricately woven into our social fabric that we accept them as absolute, indisputable truths. But Wattles, one of the most profound thinkers on prosperity who ever lived, dared to challenge this fundamental belief when he declared, "You can't get rich just by doing competent work. The world is full of poor people who do their jobs perfectly well." This statement, when truly understood, has the power to destabilize everything you thought you knew about financial success. Look around you. Do you know people who are extremely dedicated, who work tirelessly, who are excellent at what they do, but who continue to struggle financially year after year? Maybe you yourself are one of those people. The truth is that our society has programmed us to value work as an end in itself, not as a means to an end. We have been taught to believe that effort itself has inherent merit, regardless of the results it produces. And while this belief may have value in terms of character development, it is deeply flawed as a strategy for wealth creation. Consider the hardest workers you know. Are they the richest people? Now consider the richest people you know. Are they necessarily the ones who work longer hours or with greater physical intensity? The disparity between effort and reward should make us question the entire premise. What if I told you that there is an exact science to creating wealth, just like there is an exact science to growing plants or building bridges? A science that, when understood and applied correctly, produces predictable and consistent results, regardless of who uses it. This is precisely the revelation that Wattles offers us in his timeless work. He revealed that true wealth never came primarily from sweat, it always came from conscience. It is not the quantity of work that determines your prosperity, but the quality of thought behind that work. This understanding does not diminish the importance of the work. Work remains essential. What changes is our understanding of the nature of that work and, more importantly, the way we perform that work. There's a scientific, precise, and reproducible way of working that inevitably produces wealth. And there's a common way, based on false premises, that inevitably produces scarcity. Regardless of the effort invested, the question is not whether you should work or not. The question is, what kind of work are you doing, and more crucially, how are you doing that work? What if everything you've been taught about work and wealth is fundamentally wrong? What if the path to true prosperity is radically different from what we have been taught? Would you be willing to unlearn to relearn, to abandon ingrained beliefs to embrace a liberating truth? There is a fundamental distinction that few understand, but which Wattles articulated with stunning clarity: the difference between simply working and truly creating. This distinction is not merely semantic. It is the inflection point that separates those who remain stuck in cycles of effort and frustration from those who manifest prosperity with apparent ease. There is a huge difference, wrote Wattles, between doing your best in the work you do and finding your best work. Reflect on this statement for a moment. She suggests that excellence in performing any task in itself is not a guarantee of prosperity. What really matters is whether you are engaged in the kind of work that represents your highest expression and that meets a genuine need in the world. Ordinary work operates in the dimension of effect. It responds to what already exists, reacts to circumstances, follows already established paths. Creation, on the other hand, operates in the dimension of cause. It originates new possibilities, establishes new realities, opens up unexplored paths. When you just work, you are employing your physical energy on tasks prescribed by others or circumstances. When you create, you are channeling not only your physical energy, but also the strength of your imagination, intuition, and conscious intention to manifest something that did not previously exist, at least in the specific form you visualize. The universe, according to Wattles, responds not primarily to the amount of physical effort we exert, but to the clarity and intensity of our creative thinking. In his words, There is a thinking substance of which all things are made, and a thought of this substance produces the thing which is imagined by the thought. This is not a vague metaphysical notion. It is an accurate description of the process by which all innovation, all progress, and all wealth has ever been created. Everything that exists in the human world first existed as thought before manifesting as tangible reality. Consider to business people. Both work 12-hour days. Both invest considerable effort. One is constantly responding to crises, putting out fires, addressing problems as they arise, working tirelessly, but always on the scale of effect. The other takes time daily to clearly visualize the outcome they want to create, aligns their thoughts and emotions with that vision, and then acts from that state of clarity, operating in the dimension of the cause. They both work hard, but one of them simply works while the other consciously creates. The results will invariably be radically different. Wealth does not come from work itself, but from the right way of working. And the right way of working always starts with the right thinking, the clear, confident conception of what you want to manifest. In which dimension have you been operating? Have you been primarily reactive, responding to the demands and circumstances that arise in front of you? Or have you been proactive, consciously determining what you want to create and aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with that vision? The difference may seem subtle, but the consequences are profound. One path inevitably leads to perpetual struggle, regardless of the effort invested. The other naturally leads to increasing abundance, even with less apparent effort. Even extremely talented, well-educated, and hard-working people often remain trapped in financial situations far below their potential. This apparent contradiction between high ability and limited prosperity can be explained through three fundamental errors that Wattles identified as primary obstacles to the manifestation of true wealth. The first fatal error is to confuse movement with progress. Our culture celebrates being busy as a virtue in itself. Busy schedules, sleepless nights, and endless to-do lists have become badges of honor in a society obsessed with productivity. But Wattles understood that activity is not the same as effectiveness. Working harder and better will not get you any further in this world. He wrote, "It is conception that attracts things to you." How many times have you felt extremely busy, but at the end of the day you question what you actually accomplish? How much of your daily energy is devoted to activities that just keep things going, without actually advancing your financial situation? Effort was never the problem. The direction of this effort determines everything. The second fatal mistake is operating from a scarcity mindset rather than an abundance consciousness. When we work from fear of not having enough, fear of losing what we have, fear of being left behind, our relationship with work becomes fundamentally distorted. The work turns into a desperate struggle, a battle against hostile forces. This perception of struggle creates tension in the nervous system, which in turn interferes with our ability to access intuition, creativity, and the higher mental faculties needed to create true value. It's like trying to paint a masterpiece while someone constantly yells in your ear that you're failing. Those who understand the laws of prosperity work from a radically different place, a place of trust in the natural abundance of the universe and the certainty that your wealth is already on its way. This is not an abstract distinction. It's the contrast between swimming desperately against the current or flowing skillfully with it. The third fatal mistake, and perhaps the most insidious, is seeking external reward rather than internal expression. Most people approach work as a means to an external end: money, status, security, rather than understanding it as an opportunity for full expression of their unique gifts and essential nature. Imagine a man who wakes up every day at 5 a.m. He drags himself out of bed, grabs a quick coffee, and heads off to work. He spends the whole day working without rest, only returning home when the sun has set. He's been doing this for 40 years. Try hard. Dedicate yourself. And in the end, what does he have? Just enough to survive. Why? Because he worked hard, but he worked from fundamentally false premises. He confused activity with achievement, operated from fear rather than abundance, and saw his work as a means to survival rather than an expression of his divine nature. Truly prosperous people don't work to make money. They create value as a natural expression of who they are. and money flows to them as a natural consequence of that value. As Wattles so eloquently stated, you're not here to make money with effort. You're here to create value with conscience. Which of these mistakes has dominated your relationship with work and money? Have you been confusing frantic activity with real progress? Have you been operating from fear and scarcity? Have you viewed your work primarily as a means of making money rather than an opportunity for full expression? Simply being aware of these errors is the first step towards transcending them. Just as there are physical laws that govern the material universe, gravitation, electromagnetism, thermodynamics, there are precise laws that govern the creation of wealth. And just as physical laws operate independently of our beliefs or opinions about them, the laws of prosperity operate with the same impersonal precision whether we understand them or not. Whether we believe in them or not, the universe is always trying to bring life, purpose, and abundance to everyone, Wattles wrote. It's your way of thinking that blocks or allows this flow. This statement captures the essence of his understanding. Wealth is not something to be achieved through struggle, but something to be enabled through alignment. Imagine a powerful and abundant river, flowing constantly. This river represents the natural prosperity of the universe, always moving, always available. Most people spend their entire lives trying to swim against this current, fighting frantically, using brute force to try to achieve wealth. And that's why they're always exhausted. This is why working harder never seems to truly improve their lives. Those who understand the laws of prosperity do something completely different. They align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the natural flow of the universe. They don't fight the current, they flow skillfully with it, using its energy to enhance their progress rather than resist it. The fundamental principle behind this understanding is what Wattles called thinking substance, the underlying creative matrix of all material reality. There's a thinking substance that permeates and penetrates and fills the interstices of the universe. He wrote, "A thought of wealth in this substance produces wealth." Don't for a moment think that this is an abstract or metaphysical notion, with no practical application. It is the same principle that lies behind every human innovation, every artistic creation, every scientific advance. Everything begins as thought before manifesting as tangible reality. Einstein visualized himself traveling in a beam of light before formulating the theory of relativity. Henry Ford envisioned a world where cars were affordable for ordinary people, long before he created the assembly lines that made it possible. Steve Jobs imagined computers that were not just tools but artistic and intuitive extensions of human creativity. These are not isolated cases or coincidences. They are examples of the same universal law in action, the same law that is available to you. A thought of wealth and thinking substance produces wealth, as surely as gravity keeps your feet on the ground. This is not a vague promise or motivational statement. It is an accurate description of how the universe works. Modern science, particularly in the fields of quantum physics and neuroscience, is increasingly corroborating what Wattles intuitively understood. Our thoughts are not isolated electrochemical processes inside our skulls. They are energetic events that interact with and influence the fundamental field of reality. When you change the frequency of your thoughts, you literally change the way your brain processes information, how your nervous system responds to the environment, and how you perceive and interact with the opportunities around you. You don't just see a different world, you actively create a different world. When was the last time you felt like you were in complete flow with life? That state of grace where things just seem to fall into place, where doors open, where resistance decreases and abundance increases. This is not a rare mystical state reserved for a chosen few. It is your birthright, the natural result of aligning yourself with the laws of prosperity rather than resisting them. It is your way of thinking that blocks or allows the natural flow of abundance. This is the fundamental law that, once understood and applied, transforms not just your relationship with money, but your entire life experience. Intellectual understanding of the laws of prosperity is just the beginning. True power comes from the practical, everyday application of these principles. And Wattles, ever the pragmatist, has provided us with a clear and repeatable method for aligning our being with the natural flow of abundance. This method is not based on esoteric rituals or obscure mystical practices. It is a systematic, almost scientific process that anyone can apply, regardless of their background or current circumstances. The fundamental tripod of conscious creation consists of clear thought, genuine emotion, and inspired action. These three elements, when properly integrated, form a complete circuit through which the creative energy of the universe can flow freely to manifest your intentions. Clear thinking means forming a defined, specific, and consistent mental image of what you want to create. Not a vague hope or a nebulous wish, but a precise, detailed, lived vision. This thought must be maintained firmly, without contradiction or doubt, as any hesitation interrupts the creative circuit. Genuine emotion refers to the feeling that accompanies and energizes thought. It's not enough to intellectually visualize what you want. You must feel the reality of it emotionally. You must generate within yourself not only the mental belief, but the emotional conviction that what you desire is already manifesting. Inspired action is the physical movement that completes the circuit. Not any random or frantic action, but action that arises naturally from your state of mental and emotional clarity. It's what Wattles called efficient work, not just doing a lot of things, but doing the right things in the right way. This process can be compared to the work of a skilled gardener. A wise gardener does not pull a plant to make it grow faster. He understands the laws of nature and works in harmony with them, preparing the soil, planting in the appropriate season, providing adequate water and nutrients. And so, he trusts the natural process of growth. Likewise, creating wealth is not about forcing results through excessive work. It's about understanding the natural laws of prosperity and aligning yourself with them. Wattles offered us this liberating observation. You don't have to work for the same thing more than once. What relief there is in this simple sentence. She suggests that when you act in the right way, in harmony with the laws of creation, you activate forces far greater than mere physical effort. You trigger the very creative substance of the universe, which then continually works to manifest your intention, even when you rest. This is not a recipe for inaction or passivity. Quite the contrary, it is an invitation to a higher and more efficient form of action. A form of action that arises not from fear or necessity, but from inspiration and purpose. A practical exercise to apply this method is to dedicate at least 15 minutes a day to concentrated visualization. During this time, create a clear and detailed mental image of the specific outcome you want to manifest. Feel the emotions associated with already receiving what you want. Allow a genuine feeling of anticipated gratitude to fill your body and mind. Then, throughout the day, keep this vision as a backdrop to all your activities. Allow your actions to arise naturally from this state of clarity and gratitude. Notice the opportunities that appear, the intuitions that arise, the coincidental encounters that occur. When you act in the right way, in harmony with the laws of creation, you activate forces much greater than mere physical effort. It is constant persistence and vision, with unwavering faith and unchanging purpose that impresses the formative substance and directs it to materialize your desires. What would your job be like if you knew, with absolute certainty, that wealth was already on its way? How would you feel? How would you act? What decisions would you make? Start living and working from this place of certainty today, and watch as the reality around you begins to transform. Our conventional understanding of work is profoundly limited. We view work primarily as a means to ensure our material survival, something we do to obtain the resources necessary to maintain our physical bodies and sustain our lifestyles. This view, although understandable, represents only the most superficial layer of the true nature and purpose of human work. Wattles offered a radically different perspective, one that elevates work from mere economic necessity to sacred expression of divine life. The purpose of all work, he declared, is to fill your body, mind, and soul with life. This is how you should live, continually filling yourself with life and giving that life to others. The more life you give, the more life you will receive. This vision completely transforms our relationship with work. Work is no longer something we do to make money. It is something we do to express and expand the life that flows through us. It is not an external obligation, but an internal expression. It is not a means to an end, but an end in itself, the tangible manifestation of our creative essence. When we approach work from this heightened understanding, something extraordinary happens. Work stops being a struggle and becomes a celebration. The very nature of the experience changes. Instead of exhaustion, we feel renewal. Instead of diminution, we experience expansion. Instead of a contradiction between work and life, we discover a harmonious integration between the two. Work, when done in this way, becomes simultaneously a form of self-expression and a service to the world. It is a channel through which our unique gifts can flow to benefit not only ourselves, but all those who are touched by the value we create. This understanding completely transcends the dichotomy between spiritual work and material work. All work, when approached with right consciousness, is spiritual. It is the way we, as spiritual beings, interact with and shape the material world. It is our conscious participation in the ongoing creative process of the universe. The divine economy that Wattles describes, the more life you give, the more life you will receive, is not just an inspirational statement. It is an accurate description of how prosperity flows. When we work primarily to express life rather than extract resources, we paradoxically receive more abundance than we could ever obtain through calculated effort to get or win. How do you recognize when your work is truly aligned with your greater purpose? There are telltale signs. You lose track of time while working. You feel natural enthusiasm when starting your tasks. You experience a sense of meaning and contribution. You feel energized rather than drained after periods of intense creative activity. These are not rare or exceptional states. They are indications that you are operating in alignment with your essential nature and the natural laws of creation. They are confirmations that you are on the right path to manifesting not only material prosperity, but also genuine fulfillment. The difference between working to survive and working to create is the difference between existence and a full life. One is based on need, the other on expression. One arises from fear, the other from love. One is oriented towards scarcity, the other towards abundance. The revolution in consciousness needed to transform your relationship with work. And money is not complex, but it is profound. It requires that you abandon the ingrained belief that work is primarily a means to earn money, and embrace the liberating truth that work is fundamentally an opportunity to give and receive life. Work does not exist to make you rich through effort. Work exists to make you rich through expression. When you work as an expression of life, abundance flows without resistance. This is not a vague promise or an unattainable ideal. It is a reality available to anyone who has the courage to transcend the limitations of the conventional conception of work. Is your current work an expression of who you really are? Allow this question to resonate deep within you. The answer may very well be the key to unlocking not just greater prosperity, but an entirely new experience of meaning and purpose in your daily life. The manifestation of true prosperity is not the result of isolated practices or fragmented techniques. It is the natural result of a fully integrated being, where mind, body, emotions, and spirit work in perfect harmony as a coherent system. It is this state of integration that Wattles pointed to as the ultimate secret of effective creation. Doing each separate thing efficiently is very important, he noted, but not as important as doing the efficient things efficiently. This subtle but crucial distinction illustrates the difference between isolated technical excellence and true integrative mastery. Many people seek prosperity through fragmented methods. They can visualize intensely, but without aligning their actions. They may work hard but with contradictory thoughts. They may have clear intentions but misaligned emotions. It's like trying to drive a car with the brake and accelerator pressed simultaneously. There's a lot of energy spent, but little real progress. True integration begins with transforming our fundamental relationship with work and money. When you let go of the limiting belief that hard work equals wealth and embrace the truth that right thought plus right action equals wealth, your entire being begins to reorganize itself around this new understanding. Your work stops being a struggle and becomes an expression. Your relationship with money stops being based on scarcity and becomes based on natural abundance. Your entire life stops being a constant battle and becomes a harmonious flow of creation and receiving. Think of your life as a river with multiple tributaries. These tributaries are your thoughts, emotions, relationships, physical health, career. Finances are not isolated dimensions, but interconnected aspects of a single fluid system. When one of these tributaries is blocked or contaminated, the entire river is affected. Likewise, when you purify and strengthen one of these tributaries, the entire system benefits. Most approaches to prosperity focus on specific techniques for manipulating a single tributary, usually finance, but true abundance comes from harmonizing the entire system. This is what we might call holistic prosperity, a state of integral well-being that naturally includes, but is not limited to, material abundance. The secret that few discover is that gratitude is the most powerful accelerator of this integration process. Gratitude is not just a pleasant emotional state. It is a transformative force that recalibrates your energy field to resonate with the frequency of abundance. When you genuinely give thanks for what you already have and what's on the way, you establish a vibrational pattern that naturally attracts more to give thanks. The daily practice to stay aligned with the flow of prosperity is surprisingly simple. Though not always easy, consciously cultivate abundant thoughts, elevated emotions, and inspired actions, moment by moment, day by day, not as separate exercises, but as an integrated expression of your complete being. Start each morning by reaffirming your clear vision of what you are creating. Feel the emotion of this reality as if it were already manifested. Allow your actions throughout the day to rise from this state of clarity and enthusiasm. Observe the results that appear. Adjust as needed. Repeat. Over time, this process stops being a conscious practice and becomes your natural way of being. Integration stops being a goal and becomes your lived reality. And prosperity stops being something you chase and becomes something you naturally radiate. This is the invitation Wattles extends to all of us, not just to apply specific techniques to attract wealth, but to consciously participate in the creative process of the universe. Not just to have more, but to be more. Not just to accumulate resources, but to fully express the abundance that is our essential nature. When you integrate all aspects of your being around this heightened understanding, you not only attract prosperity, you become prosperity. You don't just manifest abundance. You become abundance itself in expression. We have reached the end of our exploration of Wallace. Wattles' timeless principles about the true nature of work and wealth creation. But in reality, we are just at the beginning of a transformative journey, one that has the potential to completely redefine your relationship with work, money, and, crucially, yourself. The principles we explore are not mere theories or abstract philosophies. They are accurate descriptions of the natural laws that govern the manifestation of prosperity, laws as consistent and reliable as gravitation or electromagnetism. Laws that work whether we understand them or not, whether we believe in them or not. The only relevant question is, will you consciously choose to align yourself with these laws, or will you continue to unconsciously fight against them? Before you right now is a transformative decision. You can continue to operate from the conventional paradigm that equates hard work with merit and effort with reward, a paradigm that demonstrably produces more struggle than prosperity for most people. Or you can embrace a radically different paradigm, one that recognizes that true wealth comes not primarily from effort, but from conscious alignment with the laws of creation. The first step towards this alignment is simple. Although not necessarily easy, start consciously observing your thoughts, emotions, and actions related to work and money. Become aware of limiting patterns that may be operating below your level of consciousness. Simply observe, without judgment, recognizing that these patterns have been absorbed from our cultural conditioning, not consciously chosen by you. Then, moment by moment, begin to deliberately choose thoughts that are aligned with abundance rather than scarcity, possibility rather than limitation, expression rather than effort. Feel the emotions associated with these lofty thoughts. Allow your actions to rise naturally from this new place of expanded consciousness. You are not alone on this journey. There's a growing community of science of getting rich practitioners, People from all backgrounds and circumstances who are rediscovering and applying these timeless principles to their everyday lives. People who are experiencing profound transformations not just in their financial circumstances, but in the entire fabric of their lives. What is possible when you operate from these principles? Practically everything. There's no inherent limitation to what you can create and manifest. When you are fully aligned with the laws of prosperity, the only question is what vision you will choose to imprint on thinking substance, and with what clarity, conviction, and consistency you will maintain that vision. The real question is not, how can I work harder to get rich? The real question is, how can I align my work with the laws of prosperity so that wealth flows to me naturally? This shift in perspective from striving to alignment, from struggle to flow, is the turning point that separates those who continually struggle to get or earn prosperity from those who naturally attract and express it. The external world always responds to your internal vibration. This is not a metaphorical or poetic statement. It is a literal description of how reality works. When your internal vibration is in harmony with the natural abundance of the universe, the manifestation of that abundance in your external experience is not only possible or likely, it's inevitable. Get started today, right now. Don't wait for perfect circumstances or for more information or external confirmation. The only confirmation that really matters will come through your own direct experience of the truth of these principles in your life. Take the first step, and then the next one, and then the next one. With each conscious step you take toward alignment with the laws of prosperity, the entire universe moves to support your journey. This is the invitation. This is the promise. This is the possibility that awaits your acceptance.